Hi, this is Red Ibis Coach. I'm Heather. Thank you for joining me today. I want to tell you about how when you decide to go abroad, not everyone is going to wish you the best. And sometimes that won't necessarily be something that happens to your face. Sometimes there will be some shady shit that happens with people talking behind your back. Sometimes it will just be people not understanding and having some feelings about it. Sometimes there will be people drifting away because they think that you have to have every single thing in common and every lifestyle, uh, like your lifestyles need to be in sync. And that, of course, is not the case, which you will discover once you move abroad because you will be making friends with all kinds of people. Even though this most recent time I lived abroad, I turned 40 when I lived in Ireland. I like some of my friends are babies. Some of them are like 23, 24. And then there are people older than me. I also made friends with people who are in their mid 50s. So that was cool. Like that's an example of how like someone can be so different from you, but then still see that you're cool. But anyway, back to the problem that you may face and have to let go of and accept, which is like some people will not be happy for you. And it's something that it it's not always something that you'll see coming. Here's an example. When I left the company that I left when I was moving to Ireland, everyone knew that I was planning to go to Ireland in June or July. I can't even remember now exactly when I was going to go, but I was going to go a few months ahead. And then if you saw my most recent video that I posted before this one that I'm recording now, you will have learned that there's a whole story behind why I ended up going later, why I ended up going in August. And it's not like nothing happened, like I didn't need a visa. So it wasn't a visa problem. It wasn't like an acceptance to the school problem. It wasn't a fee payment problem. It was just literally just like a lack of information problem and erring on the side of caution. And some people that I had worked with reached out to me to ask about like how things were progressing. And I just said like, here's the situation and here's why I changed the date that I'm leaving. Not I'm not going, not I can't do this or that, just like I adjusted my schedule for when I am leaving. I hear that like certain people who were like my superior at the company were like talking shit and spreading rumors about like how I was having such a hard time and a rocky start to getting to Ireland. And it was just like, and like, why? Why do you have to create this narrative that I'm being punished for choosing differently than you? Why do you have to create this story, this fictional story, this fan fiction about like what's happening with me and then like spread gossip when I'm not even there to set the story straight? The person who was spreading the gossip, this grown ass elder, they're older than me. They didn't ask me directly what was happening. Someone else told them, and I don't know who it was because I only told a few people. So you may find that like people they just disappoint you, and you'll learn who will still want to like stay in contact with you in the long term. You may learn it the hard way with some people like I did, and then you'll know, okay, well, I'm not going to share anything about my wins with you because This is just some story that you can spin to other people. So that sucked. And then there were like, when I first, like, this was years and years ago when my mom was still alive, she was really upset about some stuff, which I won't go into, but she and I had a very strained relationship and continued to up until when she passed away. We never reconciled. That's on her. And um, if she wanted me to speak better about her, she could have acted better. She chose not to. And that's something I carry and live with, and something she doesn't have to think about anymore. She doesn't have to worry about it. Um, but I think she was upset that I didn't return to the US for my grandmother's funeral when she passed away while I was in Australia. But the the my professors did not have any sympathy for the fact that my grandma passed away. They were basically like, old people die. Isn't that a shame? So I just instinctively knew that if I left Australia, if I missed classes to do this whole thing in the US, that it would affect my grades and affect my progress and affect the way my professors treated me, and I could not handle that at the time. So I stayed. And I think certain family members have feelings about that, and they're welcome to have their feelings. None of them have lived in another country. None of them have dared to study in another country, put their financial future on the line, and made a sacrifice. My grandma was not at her funeral, right? Like, she was somewhere else. She became an ancestor when she died. She would definitely have understood why I wasn't there. And these life things will happen. And people will make a narrative about how you are or are not doing what you should be doing based on what they think is plausible, possible, and acceptable. And that's just something that you learn to navigate around. And it can be painful depending on the relationship, depending on the crazy ass rumors that are spread about you. But at the end of the day, you're the one who got the freedom. You're the one who stood 10 toes down on what was right for you. You're the one who has to live with the choices that you've made for yourself. And if you make choices so that other people will approve of you or speak well about you, if you make choices based on that, you will always be miserable because you won't be doing things for yourself, and you'll constantly be reputation checking. You don't need to do that. The most important gauge for whether or not something is the right thing to do for you or whether or not you're doing it the right way is how you feel about what you've done and what the outcome is. If I could have teleported to my grandma's funeral, I'm not sure that I would have, to be honest with you, because my there's a lot of problems in my family, and I wasn't ready to be around them again. And I'll leave it at that. I think I made the right decision for my mental health at the time, and my my relationship with my grandma is based on her life and how she was when she was alive and how in our relationship when she was alive. And I think that is more meaningful to me than rushing to be there for one day, and having to perform for my family. So this was not supposed to be just about like me and all about like my weird, like people being weird to me. But it is about what happens when you move abroad and the narrative that will happen that you have no control over, and how you will be living this cool, interesting, challenging, um, beautiful life. And that's the reality. And then people will have a story about you in their heads that has nothing to do with the reality. And you just gotta let them tell themselves that story. And if you can salvage a relationship, great. If you can't, it's not your responsibility to make people happy for you. Either they are going to be happy for you or they're just going to be haters. They're just going to not understand. And there's not much you can do about that. And there's no use wasting your energy trying to convince them. You still move forward. You will learn to stand in your own destinies. You will learn that what you choose for yourself is everything, and nobody should ever be able to take that away from you, because that is the magic that allows you to live the life that you deserve to live, because it's your birthright to do your best to try to live a decent life regardless of your circumstances. Some of us have a lot less to work with than others. Some of us are abundantly privileged. But it's really like, how are you making the most of the circumstances that you have? And what do you want to do with your life? You don't want to have regrets about what you didn't do. And the only way to do that is to do the things that you are passionate about, drawn to, dreaming about. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe or like this video if it was meaningful to you, and I'll see you next time, which will be tomorrow.